Welcome to WP-Tonic, episode 212. Today, we've got the pleasure of having as our guest, Robert DeVore of WP Dispensary and DVO Digital.
DeVO Digital.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all
DeVO.
right.
And I also want to introduce my co-host, Jonathan.
Oh, hi there, folks.
Robert, just jump right into it. How did you first get into web development?
I was 13 and didn't like school, so I'd stay up late and just sit on the computer, and I kind of messed around with a little bit of design for people's message board, signature posts, and then that kind of just progressed to learning basic table-based design, and then from there I stuck with it because it was something I could do on my own without having to take the school route. So it kept me focused on something important and gave me a way of kind of building the 9-to-5. You know, I stumbled upon it, but I built the 9-to-5 for myself so I didn't have to go clock in somewhere else. So it just kind of worked out, I guess. But yeah, so ever since a young age, I've been messing with computers.
So 100% you've always worked for yourself?
No, when I was a teenager, I had, fast food jobs here and there and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, once I got out on my own, I've been doing it all on my own.
Nice. And let's talk about that for just a second. Before you launched WP Dispensary, what were you doing before that in the web development space?
Freelance work for agencies. So, they get all the credit, but I'd be the one behind the scenes doing everything. So, just a little bit here and there. Just kind of, I'm still doing that right now, actually. WP Dispensary is growing, but it's not a full-time income to where I can focus 100% of my time to it. But I'm hoping soon, that it'll get to that point. That's the goal anyways.
Definitely. So let's talk about that for a second. Like, obviously the cannabis industry is an emerging market, and let's talk about your product offering. What exactly is WP Dispensary? Who's it for? What's it do?
WP Dispensary is, in my opinion, a complete menu management solution for the cannabis industry. So dispensaries and delivery services, they can take what other websites are allowing them to do on their websites. They can do it themselves and have their own menu hosted, have access to all their data. So they're in complete control of all of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very complete solution. And I know that there's not a lot of other people doing this in the space. When it comes to that, do you feel it gives you a little bit of a competitive edge, and do you think the market's going to change? Good.
Okay, I think the market is going to continue to grow to where there's going to be more people in the space. I've talked to a few different people who are putting things together. Like Drew Poland's the guy that puts together Lifted Themes, and he's working on his solution right now. And then I know a couple other people who have been talking to me, kind of getting a little bit of advice and things like that. So I know it's growing. Right now, I don't really look at competition as competition. I'm just trying to build something that I feel comfortable with at my own pace. And I'll have weeks where I go, 16 hours a day and I'm doing nothing but development for it. And then I'll have 4 or 5 days where I don't even touch it. So I'm just kind of growing at my own pace right now until it becomes something that I can focus full time on. It gets my attention whenever I have the spare minute or two to mess with it.
Yeah, definitely. In your estimate, like how many dispensaries are using this for their online system right now?
Right now, it's going back and forth between 200 plus and 100 plus active installs in the WordPress repository. So I guesstimate a couple hundred different dispensaries. I know there's a lot more that have downloaded it, and they got the free themes that I put out before, and they're using that. So I've seen it a lot. I haven't kept track of an exact number, but I'd say somewhere in the hundreds, the low hundreds. But I know there's thousands of them out there, so I'm still trying to grab and grow every single day.
That's actually pretty good. I mean, that's not bad. And like I said, as more states legalize cannabis, I think that number will continue to grow. So, let's address that. How did you first get the idea to build themes and plugins exclusively for dispensaries?
I kind of fell into it. I was starting to build just free themes to give away and let people use, trying to build up a following on my own personal blog. And I built a plugin for Leafly that would show, through using their API, it would show reviews from the dispensaries on their website, and it'd put it and display it right on your WordPress site through a widget or a short code. And like a month after I built that, they shut their API down. So I was kind of stuck wondering what to do next. And I kind of liked the idea of working within that industry. So I was looking around and I couldn't find anything that showed there was an open source solution for the menus. So I kind of just took that and ran with it. And the first product I built, the base 1.0, compared to what it is now, is horrible to look back on. But I was just happy to get something out and work on it.
Oh, definitely. And it's a good looking product. You know, so in your estimation, like looking out there at the different dispensary sites, what are some of the major problems or obstacles that they face with their digital presence?
I've seen a wide variety of dispensaries, from top end where you can tell they're making millions of dollars a year and their website displays that, all the way to what looks like a kid in his basement who probably put a GeoCities page together and said, okay, now I'm going to sell weed. So, it fluctuates. It just really depends on the area. I know in California, they're a little above and beyond what the newer states are. So they've got a little bit of a curve ahead of everyone else as far as what their website looks like and how they're presenting it. But I think the main thing always has been, you can get an iframe to add to your website from these other menu sites, but then that's an iframe, and it's really doing nothing good for your site. It's hard to make sure it's going to be mobile responsive and still look good when most people are going to browse on their phone and then want to call you directly, or find an address and come right in. So having it easy to browse on the website makes it a million times better. I think that's the one thing that's lacking right now.
No, that's an excellent point, and I think you're right. I think a lot of people are they have to prioritize mobile friendliness with that, because a lot of people are looking for a place where they can head in and pick up their goods.
Yeah.
And definitely with dispensaries too. A thing to remember too is a lot of people are using this for medical purposes, and so the presentation is super important. When it comes to design, do you have anyone helping you with that, or is that all you as well?
No, everything's been me. I have control issues a little bit, so it's hard for me to kind of branch out and let other people touch stuff. But I mean, the code is up on GitHub, so I always open, any pull requests or any issues that people find. I'm always open to looking into that and kind of working that way. But for the most part, I've been doing a little bit at a time on my own, so I just kept it that way for now.
No, definitely awesome. When it comes to marketing ideas for dispensaries, what are some of the things that you see people doing that are successful with that when it comes to digital marketing?
I think Instagram has been, from what I've seen, one of the biggest ways. You post up a bunch of funny memes and tag it the right way. You get people from your local area following you. Then they see a social proof account, where you're seeing 10,000 followers. That's got to be a good dispensary. So now you want to go to it because, you see big numbers. So I think Instagram has been one of the best ways. I know they've had issues getting their account shut down at random by Instagram, and on Facebook, they've been doing it too. But from what I've seen online, besides having your own website, it seems Instagram's the best solution.
Excellent. Do you see, people leveraging Facebook as well, or?
Yeah, I know there's a couple here, like right around where I'm at in Michigan, where they have the messenger up where you can contact them right on their Facebook page, and they're real responsive. So I know that it's kind of like tied in. The Instagram and the Facebook kind of just blends together and becomes their solution. I don't really see a lot of Twitter unless it's just basically for promotion. They don't really do a lot of interacting through Twitter from what I've seen, but Instagram and Facebook is usually the direct connection, then the visual marketing on Instagram more.
Definitely. So, let's talk about your cannabis theme. This is like your flagship theme for dispensaries. When it comes to this theme, how are you getting this in front of dispensaries? Is it just through the repo? Is it through email marketing? How are you getting this in front of people?
Every way possible. From the repo where people come and find out about the site, then once they find the plugin, they come to the site, and then it's advertised right on the site that we have a theme that we offer. Then I also have newsletter lists where you can sign up and get marketing tips for your dispensary, and then I send out updates when new products are released or new updates are released. And then I'm also doing just direct contact, reaching out on my own and talking to people. And search engine optimization and content marketing has really been the two things I feel that have brought the most traffic to the site. So that's really the main focus right there.
Yeah, I mean, and dispensaries are a big business. I actually have a client as well. He manufactures the displays for a lot of the dispensaries as well. How sophisticated do you see this market as being? Are these people like really sophisticated as far as digital marketing, or do people underestimate like dispensary owners, and or do they still have a lot of ways to go when it comes to digital marketing?
I think honestly, I think it's a younger demographic that seems to be running a lot of it from what I've interacted with in the places I've went. So I feel like they're more ahead of the curve when it comes to digital because they've grown up with digital and understand the importance of people being connected. So I think it's working out pretty well in that favor. I think, again, it's just a matter of kind of figuring out how to present your business professionally where people aren't looking at you as just, a drug spot, but you're an actual place of business where you're giving medicine to people. They're coming and getting healed. And like I go to places and there'll be people anywhere from 18. I've seen people up to 75 years old in there at the same time as me. So it's never really what people first think of when they think of a spot like that. So I think a lot of the marketing needs to push the professionalism. And that's what I'm hoping that the plugin and the work that I'm doing does, is gives people a way to kind of present things professionally to where they don't have to work hard to make it look good.
No, definitely. I think you're doing a great job when it comes to presenting the professionalism. Right now, we're going to go to our break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to be talking more with Robert DeVore of Devio Digital. See you in a sec. Coming back from our break, and we're talking more with Robert DeVore of WP Dispensary and Devio Digital. Jonathan, do you have a question?
Well, where do you see this business going, really, Robert? Do you actually feel that you're really starting to get some traction, and do you want to expand it where you got actually yourself and other people working on the business?
Yeah, definitely. I've been doing it for about a year and a half now, and within the last 6 months, I'm starting to see a little more traction. So I think after the first year, it's finally starting to pick up steam. People are realizing, okay, it's a product that's here and it's not going anywhere. Where you see a lot of products, they come in and a couple months later, they've disappeared and you don't know what happened to, what's going on with them. So I think I've built a solid base now, and long-term goal is to make it a full-time job and have a ton of people working for me. I mean, I would love to have a multi-million-dollar business here from it. So whatever I can do to make that happen, that's the goal. There's no limit. I just want to keep going up. So whatever I can do to make that happen, I'm going to do it.
So what is your basic business model? So you have a set of free themes that are in the WordPress depository, and then presume that you have add-ons, or have you got a pro theme which
I've got the WP Dispensary plugin is in the repository, and that's free, and that'll always be free. So the main core plugin itself is always free. And then on my site, I have a few different themes that I've released for free. They're not geared specifically towards WP Dispensary, but you can use them with it because the plugin works with any theme. So those are out there, and then that kind of brings the traffic in from that and, builds the following. And then I have the cannabis theme, which is the commercial theme where I'm putting a lot of the time and effort into building it and integrating it with all the other add-ons that I got, because I also have, I think, 7 different add-ons now. And I'm working my way up towards 10, hopefully within the next couple of months. I got a couple that I'm working on releasing. So I have a couple free add-ons, and then I also have paid add-ons. So the money coming in is generally from the add-ons, the theme, and then I also offer a setup service. So if you don't even want to touch nothing, you just want to get it set up to match your logo and your company, You go ahead and pay for it, and it's done for you.
So what's been a couple of the main things you've learned through this process so far?
Patience. That's the main thing, because I always want things to go a lot faster than I can make them go, and I can only stay up so many hours before I pass out. So it's just learning the patience of understanding, and then taking a step back, because I'm always trying to run so fast with it. When I step back a little bit and kind of look everything over, I can start to see how I can piece things together a little bit easier without being kind of, you can't see the forest for the trees. You got to step back a little bit, and then you can kind of make way of what's the best solution going forward, rather than what I feel like I want to do right at this moment.
So what's the main competition outside of WordPress? Is it fully hosted solutions?
Yeah, there's a couple big ones like Weedmaps, Leafly, and a couple other sites. They've been kind of like the MySpace and Facebook of social media, where they're the big giants in there. But then over time, we've seen how MySpace and other places like that kind of go. So I'm hoping that with an open source solution, it gives people the ability to use it for as long as they need to, without having it dependent on someone else's service like that.
And how do you see the industry going in general? Because obviously you've had a number of, I live in Nevada, folks, northern Nevada, near Reno, and recently dispensaries were made legal, and a number of other states. But obviously, with the Trump administration, they've made it clear that their policies are going to be more hard line towards any kind of form of drugs. So you've got a kind of contradictory forces. How do you see that playing out?
I think with it now being over half the country has either legal for medical purposes or recreational purposes, I think the cat's out of the bag. They can fight it as long as they want to and argue about it all day long, but everything's shifted so much now. I don't think you can put it back away now. I don't think you can, you can't stop it. I feel like it's too much. There's too much going on, where you look at Colorado and they got millions of dollars in tax revenue going to schools and rebuilding schools, crimes going down, car accidents are going down, people are getting healthier because of it. You can't really find a bad reason for it, except for the ones that they've been spewing since the DARE program, 20, 30 years ago. So it just seems to me like it's just going to keep growing, and it'll eventually be accepted as much as alcohol. So you'll see ads for it everywhere. And, I feel like that's where it's headed. It can't stop, I don't think, now.
So have you had a lot of different requests from owners that were looking at your solution, and how do you choose the ones that you're going to try and implement into your platform?
Well, I've had a lot over. That's where a lot of the advancements have actually come, because I built the base product off of what I've seen, and then after working with people, you can hear, if I hear 3 or 4 times in a row from people, this is what I'm looking to get done, and I kind of go, okay, well, it sounds like it's going to be more than just a one-off case, so maybe it can go in, and then you talk to other people who are selling more of the seeds and clones rather than other products, so they have more information on what they're looking for that area. So once I see, okay, well, yeah, everyone could benefit from having, what they're cloned from in the description of, the meta information. So let's go ahead and add that in, and then that'll allow everybody to put that information in. So it's kind of just figuring out what seems more like a one-use case for this specific person over what's going to be used by a lot of people over time.
And have you, obviously your experiences in WordPress, so was WordPress the tool that you decided straight away to build this, or was you looking maybe at Ruby on Rails and a full custom solution, or was it always WordPress?
It was always WordPress. I've loved WordPress. Because of WordPress, I've been able to support myself, for my entire adult life. So I wanted to give back. So I knew building the base plugin and making it free, that was a good way for me to be able to say, okay, I'm supporting open source. I'm showing that open source can be a sustainable business. So I always wanted to go with open source with it. Plus, there's so many websites already use WordPress that I knew it would be better to have them integrate a plugin rather than wipe their whole website out and put a whole new solution up. So I figured it'd be easier on the end user also. So it kind of just, it felt natural.
And because of the industry, was there any kind of difficulty getting the plugin in the depository?
No, I submitted it and they looked over the code, and I guess the code looked good to them and they were good to go with it. So I had no issues with that.
Oh, well, that's great. Got a question, John?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you, Robert, you know, I'm looking at your extensions page, and like you mentioned before, you have an add-on business model. A large part of the revenue comes from the add-ons. So my question to you is, are there certain ones that seem to be more popular than others, or, you know, kind of what are your top sellers or your top installs like in this category?
For the extensions, I think the top one is the WooCommerce connection, because then it lets people place orders right on your website. You know, and it comes with an option where you can have pay on pickup as your payment option, so you don't have to actually accept cash through your website, you know, or through a credit card processor if you don't want to go that route. And then WooCommerce has so many other extensions already built into it for shipping and everything else. I know in Canada you can ship. So it's like there's certain things that I wanted to make extendable for everyone else, instead of just building a payment solution for WP Dispensary and leaving it at that. Figured to just capitalize on the, you know, the big user base of WooCommerce and let it all integrate together. So that one's been the top one for sure, because everybody wants the payment options on their website. So above and beyond that, and then the cannabis theme are my two top sellers, because they kind of both go hand in hand. You get that along with the menu, and now you got a whole styled website. You know, click and pick whatever colors you want from the theme, and then it's automatically integrated with WooCommerce, so you're good to go.
Yeah, definitely. Have you had like people take you up on the you know, offer, like set up the whole system for them?
Yeah, I've had a few actually, and it works out really well. Since I've built everything and I've had my hand in all of it, I know where to customize things if they want something changed. So it's a really smooth process. They give me a link to their menu. I copy over each of their menu items into WP Dispensary, and then it's up and running for them, and they don't have to touch anything. So yeah, it definitely works out good.
Definitely. One thing that I see you tweet about a lot is hashtag never not working. And, you know, it really resonates with me. I see in you someone who's a hardcore hustler, an entrepreneur, someone who's, you know, making these sacrifices to get to where you want to go. How has been being an entrepreneur and creating like your own product line? How different is it from doing the kind of freelance work that you were doing before?
Freeing. I feel like I can breathe when I think about building something for WP Dispensary or something that I want to do on my own. It's a totally different vibe than if I'm thinking about a client project, because I'm having to base what I'm doing on their limitations on what they want. For me, I'm just free to think about whatever I care about thinking about at that moment. I can see it how I want to see it and build it how I want to build it. So it's given me a lot more freedom, and then it's more exciting, if I'm being honest, to, you know, wake up in the morning knowing, oh, I'm about to work on my own stuff rather than working on something for someone else. So it's definitely it's an exciting thing, and that's why I'm hoping to have the shift to full-time income from it. So this way I can just focus solely on it, and then I'll be able to build it faster, build it better, because I'll be able to devote more time and energy to it. So yeah, it's definitely nice.
I totally feel what you're saying. It's the ultimate reality hack. You're creating your own reality.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing I wanted to ask you too, you know, when it comes to people setting up their dispensary site, do you recommend for them to have kind of maintenance packages? Do you do kind of retainer work for people after they've launched?
Yeah, like I have a couple people right now that they come to me whenever they ever have questions. They've pretty much figured out how to run it on their own, but they'll come to me and say, hey, I need help updating this, or they don't want to update the plugins or anything or the core files because they don't want to mess nothing up. So I'll go in and set them up with a new backup and, you know, take care of that stuff for them. So it kind of works out. And plus, over time, they keep giving me tips on what they think would make the site better. So I can take that and use it to make the plugin better, which in turn makes the overall product experience better. So yeah, it's definitely a win-win with that.
No, it's definitely great. And then I noticed too, you have a link at the bottom of WP Dispensary. You have free stock photos. You know, do a lot of people visit this page and use the stock photos here?
Yeah, I haven't seen them in use, but I've seen a lot of downloads from it. So I know someone's downloading them. I don't know if it's just or if it's designers looking for images that they use to, create sites for their clients. I don't know where exactly they're going to, but I do know that they're getting pretty decent downloads. And I put them up a while ago, so it's just kind of grown. I don't know if it's just the search engine optimization, for cannabis stock photos or whatever it is, but they definitely do get views from it.
I think we should finish up, John, and then we can go
Yeah,
for some quick bonus content.
let's do it. All right. So I want to remind everyone, if you're getting value from our podcast, go ahead and leave a review on iTunes. We totally appreciate it. And Robert, how do we find you? How do we get a hold of you?
I'm on Twitter every day. Devio Robert, which is DEVIO Robert. That's the main Twitter account, and you can find everything else from there. Links to my website, WPDispensary.com. I'm pretty much on Twitter every moment I'm awake. My phone's either on it if I'm out somewhere standing in line, or if I'm sitting at the house and I'm just on the couch waiting for the commercials to get over with or whatever. I'm usually on Twitter, so yeah, that's the best place.
Cool. How do we get a hold of you, Jonathan?
Oh, it's really easy, folks. You can get me on Twitter at Jonathan Denwood, or you could email me at jonathan@w-tonic.com.
And you can get a hold of me on my site, which is lockdowndesign.com. You can find me on Twitter, lockdown_, or follow my Facebook page. Just Google Lockdown Design. For the WP-Tonic Posse in effect, we're saying peace out and get your dose. Bonus content time.
Yeah, bonus. We do about 5-10 minutes that we extend on YouTube, Rob.
Okay.
So, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge? You seem, the business seems to be going the right way, but you're in this kind of in between period where you would like to give up your client work, but the income that's coming from it. Can you see in the near future a time where there'll be enough income? Are we talking about in the next 3 to 6 months? You hope to be able to?
I'm hoping with the next couple of things that I'm working on to push out, I'm hoping that that'll push me over the edge around Christmas time, so I can end this year out doing, both, and then start 2018 full on just working on WP Dispensary.
That's great. And how do you really think people, because as I've discussed with John before, we tend to be in a little bit of a bubble here, don't we? We think everybody knows about WordPress, but the reality is that most people out there in the real world haven't even heard of WordPress, let alone really know what it is. How do you think is it other developers that have been hired to develop a site for a dispensary? They're the main people that find your plugin and your themes?
Based on the people I've talked to that have actually purchased the product and asked questions, I'd say it's about a 50-50 split. It's either a dispensary who has someone that knows how to work on websites, or the dispensary owner themselves has, had experience, or it's, developers trying to get together a package that they can go out and sell to different clients in their area. So it's been about 50-50 split, which was surprising because I assumed it was going to be mostly developers.
Yeah.
So in the beginnings, I had all my marketing geared towards developers. And then I started realizing, well, dispensaries and the owners are actually writing me and getting in touch. So maybe I should kind of put together a little bit more content for them as well. So it's been a nice little split.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's really hard to define precisely who your audience are going to be, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's the next biggest upgrade? What kind of additional functionality are you looking to add the next big update, and you plan to do?
Well, right now, the WooCommerce connection is getting version 2.0 worked on, which right now you have to manually add in a WooCommerce product and select which item from WP Dispensary you want to connect it to. The new version is going to have it to where when you add a product in WP Dispensary, it'll automatically create the product in WooCommerce for you with the prices that you've selected and integrate them and connect them together, so you only have to add everything once. So that's the next big update, just trying to make everything as easy on the users as possible. So that's the next big one. And then after that, it's version 2.0 of WP Dispensary, which is going to have a lot of code cleanup, a lot of, upgrades for filters and different things to make it more extendable going forward.
Oh, sounds great. Got a question, John? I think you're silent, John.
There you go. So I definitely do have a question. When it comes to dispensaries and their SEO, what do they struggle with, and what are your general recommendations for dispensaries dealing with their own local SEO?
From the people I've talked to and the sites I've looked over while doing research, I don't think many of them, unless they already have a high-end website, they don't even think they know about search engine optimization, other than you search Google for something and that's it. So I think just getting the information to them and showing them the benefits of having the targeted keywords for their market, their city delivery service or their city marijuana dispensary. You start targeting those words, and then that's what people are searching for. Dispensaries near me, and it brings up all the results from whatever city you're in, and that's the results they're going to see. So you just kind of got to, I think it's a lack of information on our part, giving it to them to where they understand it. So the developer community and the search engine optimization community could do a good job of even just gearing the same articles you write about everything else and all the other industries, just reworking it for specifically dispensaries, and it all applies. Like it's all the same setup.
Yeah, I definitely asked that because, like here in Sacramento, definitely there's dispensaries all around. There's one just right down the way from here, and it just occurs to me that as this becomes a more normalized business and more states legalize, differentiation and SEO is going to play a bigger and bigger role.
Yep.
So, Jonathan, anything?
No, I think we covered most stuff, but I'm really impressed with your efforts, Robert. I know doing something like this on your own plus doing client work it stretches your dedication, and you've just kept at it.
Going a little bald from it.
Pardon? Yeah, you got a little bit
bald from it.
Well, it will be worth. You could always get a hair transplant when you're making some decent money, can't you? But have you got any last thoughts for anybody that's that's been inspired by your story? And have you got anything, tips or insights you'd like to share? Anybody that's thinking of doing what you've done?
If you've got an idea, build it. It doesn't matter if you're the only one that likes it or uses it. You build one idea that'll help you to get to your next one. And, this one's taking off now, but it's a long list of 10 plus years of different things I've done and tried. So it might take some time. You gotta learn the patience for it and, figure out what's going to get the right traction, and just build and keep building and never stop building, because something's going to click at some point for you, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say in closing too, I respect the hell out of you. And I totally think that you're gonna, get everywhere that you want to go, because you work hard at it, and you never stop. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Well,
all right.
So we're going to end this, folks, and we'll see you next week with another interview. And do remember our round table shows on Friday, where we always have a great panel of WordPress experts. And that starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time on every Friday. If you want to join us, you can go to the WP-Tonic page and go down to the bottom of the homepage, and you'll see a link, upcoming shows, and there'll be a link which you can actually watch the show either on Facebook or join us and ask us a question. It's always a blast, isn't it, John?
Yeah, definitely. And those roundtable shows, it's a lot of discussion. Some of our most popular episodes are actually the roundtable shows. But, you know, we got a deep bench of people all across the WordPress spectrum. So definitely go and check that out.
That'd be great. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye.